Hey, everybody. Hope that you have finished your sentence errors review and then watch the video so that you can kind of check your answers and see how you did. And hopefully you will feel better about this part of our grammar boot camp. All right, I'm just going to work through it as if I was a student taking the test or the quiz, and feel free to email me or send me a remind message after you've watched the video if there's something that you don't understand, or if there's part of the sentence errors quiz that you took in class, and even though we went over the correct answers and you have access to those correct answers, were there any that you just wanted to, maybe you were too shy to ask a question about it in class, but you'll don't mind doing it one-on-one. All right, number one, Judy leads a charmed life. That's a sentence. She never seems to have a serious accident. Well, I could say both of those at the same time. So I know this is a sentence. Judy leads a charmed life, and she never seems to have a serious accident. That's a sentence. So right now it's a run-on. So I know that it's not D because it's not written correctly. So I need to separate it somehow correctly. A just separates it with the an and, which that makes it a run-on. B just separates it with the comma, which makes it a comma splice. C separates it the correct way by separating them as two independent clauses with the semicolon. Number two, the airport is about to shut down because of the snow and passengers will have to go to Boston. Well, do I have two complete sentences? Let's look at this. The airport is about to shut down because of the snow. I could stop there. I've got an and, so let me look at the second part. Passengers will have to go to Boston. That's also a sentence. So I know I've got to separate it more than just with an and, because that's a run-on. If I separate it down because of the snow and passengers, that doesn't make any sense. Because of the snow, semicolon, and passengers will have to go to Boston. That looks right. But so does B. So there's two answers here. Either way, those have been corrected because they've separated it. All right. So if you put one of those, give yourself credit for it. Number three, the show begins at 7:30. Make sure you are there before 7:15. Again, it's a run-on. Two complete sentences. The show begins at 7:30. That's a sentence. Make sure you're there before 7:15. That's a sentence. If you put so, well, that's good, but there's no comma there, so that's not right. If you just put a comma, that makes it a comma splice. We already know it's not correctly written. Separating them into two sentences is also correct. Okay. Number four, the head of the state and the religious leaders were often the same person in power for the country. Well, I just read it as one complete sentence. It is correctly written. So it is D. All right, so let's go to number five. People believed the precious metals to be divine, so their use in money intensified its allure. Two sentences ending after divine, the first one, and then you only have a conjunction, so I know I need a comma before it, right? And let's see which one of those does that. Well, it's letter B, so hopefully you got B. Number six, we're just identifying what it is. Annette learning to play the drums. Well, I'm just gonna put fragments so you'll know exactly what it is. This was if it was a Scantron test. Annette learning to play the drums leaves me hanging. Annette has been learning to play the drums. That would have corrected it. Number seven, Zaire was formerly called the Belgian Congo. Belize was formerly called the British Honduras. Well, two sentences, only with a comma, so that is a comma splice. Number eight, the hostage was released unharmed. Meanwhile, police were able to persuade the man to give up. You even heard me. I had to pause there because that's where the first sentence ends. Can I join two sentences with a comma? Meanwhile, no, it's just a comma splice. Number nine, the roof leaks badly and most of the windows have been broken by vandals. It's a run-on because I've got the roof leaks badly. That's a sentence. Most of the windows have been broken by vandals. That's a sentence. I can't join two sentences with just a conjunction. Number 10, the road is full of potholes. The rains are ruining the streets. Two sentences joined only with a comma, so it's a comma splice. Number 7, although we didn't expect him to come back, he surprised us all at the meeting with cookies. Well, that looks like a good sentence. I have a dependent clause at the beginning. Although we didn't expect him to come back, that can't stand alone, so I know it's not a comma splice. It needs the rest of the sentence. Number 12, since they were all awarded a medal, the Olympic Committee is holding a press conference. Well, again, it's a good sentence. Whoops, sorry. It's a good sentence because the first part is a dependent clause. Number 13, concerned for the exhausted hikers as they were gone 2 extra days. It's even hard for me to say it because I know it's missing something. I don't know who was concerned. Number 14, I can't hear you. We have a bad connection. I can't hear you. That's a sentence. We have a bad connection. That's a sentence. So that is a run-on. Number 15, Mickey Mouse being over 50 years old. Well, that's not even a complete sentence, right? Mickey Mouse is over 50 years old, but being doesn't make sense. Number 16, if the pizza is moldy, throw it away. That's a good sentence. Number 17, the basement stairs are creaky. Everyone should walk down them carefully. The basement stairs are creaky. That's a sentence. Everyone should walk down them carefully. That's a sentence. So that's a comma splice. Number 18, make yourself at home. That is a good sentence. It's a command of you make. Number 19, Al Capone was a famous gangster in Chicago in the 1920s, and he often was photographed. They tried to separate it, but they only separated it with an and. It needs a comma, so it's a run-on. Number 20, Carlos walked away from the wreck unharmed. However, Julio suffered a concussion. Well, it's a comma splice, right? Because it's 2 complete sentences. The best way to correct that would just change that comma right here to a semicolon. Number 21, it says choose the one item that is not a run-on or a comma splice. So let's look at it. A, in Hawaii, aloha means hello. It also means goodbye. Well, that's a comma splice. B, in Hawaii, aloha means hello. It also means goodbye. That's a run-on. C, in Hawaii, aloha means hello, comma, but it also means goodbye. They've separated that run-on. 22. The defense attorney tried to plea bargain the case, comma, but the prosecuting attorney refused. That looks good. Let's look at B, though, just to make sure. Well, B separated it with a comma. However, that's a comma splice. C left off the comma before, but that's a run-on. So the correct answer is A. 23. I can't hear you. We have a bad connection. Well, this is one of the questions we had up there, and we said it was a run-on, right? Well, that's a run-on. B, I can't hear you because we have a bad connection. That looks pretty good. C, I can't hear you, comma, we have a bad connection. That's a comma splice. They've corrected this run-on by using subordination. So B is correct. Number 24, actually, before you run to the store, well, that's a fragment, right? So we're looking for the one item that is not a fragment. B, although we didn't expect him to come back with a tattoo, oh, that leaves me hanging. That's a fragment. So hopefully C is a sentence. There are many plastic flamingos. That's a sentence. So that's C. And the last one, choose the one item that is not a fragment. Benjamin and Sydney naming their son Ezekiel. Well, that doesn't make any sense, right? If it said named their son, then that would be a good sentence, but that's not. B, the Robertson using solar energy in their house. That doesn't make any sense, right? C, the average LA commute is 2 hours. I don't know what that is. Just ignore that 8 there. Well, that one's correct, right? All right, so if you graded yourself, these are 4 points apiece. So hopefully you didn't miss too many. See what your grade was, and hopefully you're understanding it better and are going to be more prepared for the final grammar test that we take in a few weeks.